Yo, 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 yo. Welcome to The Grid. Episode 150, Aaron, of The Grid. I am Chris Hacker, one of your co-hosts here. And joining me, as always, my BFF, Aaron Knowles.
Can you smell what The Rock is cooking?
I do smell it.
It doesn't matter what you can smell.
What? I have one beer. What?
People's eyebrow.
2 beers. What? 3 beers. And that's the bottom line.
Austin 316.
Austin 316 just said, I whooped your ass. God, what a great era of wrestling, Aaron.
Right?
The Attitude Era. It's funny. We talked about it a couple of weeks. Everybody, welcome to The Grid. We are releasing this to the public. This is what The Grid is. We just pop on camera and we start talking, and we'll figure out, we'll find our way around the dark room at some point. But to go on with the Attitude Era of wrestling, the WWF, as it was called back in the day, the World Wrestling Federation. There it is. So I watched the Mr. McMahon documentary on Netflix. I told you about it a couple weeks ago on The Grid. Have you had a chance to see that, or do you care at all about
I haven't. You know, I actually lost. So first off, fuck Spectrum. I lost.
I'll second that.
I lost internet for about a good 2.5 days. So it was. I'm gonna throw this out there. It was actually kind of amazing because so the wife and I, we have a huge collection of like Blu-rays and DVDs.
Mm-hmm.
So we were like, it just felt like a cleanse.
Mm-hmm.
From all of the streaming, from all that, because we have enough. Like we watched several things that we hadn't watched before. We watched like Disney's Wish, and it was just kind of fun. So like I have not been caught up on anything that's like really new.
So you were forced to like sort of disassociate for a bit.
Exactly.
And you know what? Spectrum picked a great time to do it because the world is on fire, literally and figuratively, outside of our two homes. So shout out to Spectrum for doing the most, I guess.
Yeah. Let's not get too distracted. But we're talking about
wrestling.
Yep.
And I started watching. There's a documentary on the XFL also on Netflix. So
who's The Rock that co-owns that?
So The Rock co-owns it now. It formed a new league. It was the XFL and there's a USFL, I think, as well. There were 2 minor league NFL or NFL, not NFL. They're not associated with NFL.
Is that the indoor football league?
That's arena. There's a lot of different leagues. There's Europe.
There's a lingerie
Canada,
football league.
There's lingerie. There's a lot of football out there.
I'm not.
The point is the XFL and the USFL combined, and now The Rock co-owns that. But when the XFL was first created in the 2000s, it was owned by Vince McMahon, who famously and infamously has owned the WWE for quite some time. What was our point? I think it was just wrestling is cool, or it was cool.
It was cool.
Is it cool?
My original, it was. I don't know if it is. There's this whole new. Okay, I kind of compare it to the Japanese culture. Okay. So if you've ever if you know me, you know that I'm a huge fan of I've always wanted to go to Japan, which I still have done, which I'm planning to, I'm preparing for. But there's
kind of surprising you haven't been yet.
Right? A lot of stories there why I haven't. But one of the things that I've learned about Japan is that they tend to take a lot of the American Western culture things and just bring them into their culture and then just do it to the max, just exaggerate it. Okay, so one big example is Spice Girls. When Spice Girls finally made it over to Japan, you know what their signature look included, the big platform boots. Well, there was a problem in Japan where they actually had to outlaw boots over a certain height because women were falling, breaking ankles, falling into traffic and getting hit by cars.
Creating a hazard.
Creating their own hazard culturally.
Yeah.
So I forgot my point of all this.
That's the second time we've done that, Aaron. We haven't been on The Grid for more than 5 minutes, and we've lost 2 points already. I will make one quick, if I may, just challenge something really. Go ahead.
I remember my point. Okay,
go. We found it.
I got so excited about Japan. That's why I lost my point. But the point was, I feel like today's and this may be offended to some of the younger listeners, but I feel like today the youth is taking things that were cool and kind of absorbing them into their own cultural identity and then exaggerating them to a huge amount. Because wrestling used to be like, wrestling was cool, but it was also like just normal cool. It was like going to a concert. You know,
Yeah.
you went to a WWF match or whatever, like it was going to a concert. Now it's people's like complete identity, you know?
Okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
And so like it's interesting because like I see fans now and there are people who are just like, that's all they do, like wrestling. Like they create podcasts, they just dive right into it. They do like little mini movies, they do their own documentaries, all this stuff. It's all they think about, you know. And then you got, you know, people like Rhea Ripley, you got people like these new the Miz, you got these new characters which are, I don't know, just so emphasized in their caricatures of who they are as an actor. You know, because that's what wrestling really is. It's a soap opera.
It's entertainment. Yeah, absolutely. Real quick backtrack. Spice Girls is a UK property. It was popularized, I guess you would say, in America.
Oh, so sorry.
But you're right.
It's Western culture.
Correct.
It still is Western culture.
I think you would make an argument that the Spice Girls didn't, you know, achieve true stardom until they got big here in the US. And maybe that's my own pompous Yankee attitude coming through here on the podcast. But
I did misspeak.
There's a strong argument. And then the second thing I'll say is that, yeah, I agree with you. I think that the younger generation, now Aaron and I are both millennials. I would say we're actually probably both older millennials at this point. But, you know, we have a little bit of that. Obviously, we have a podcast talking about all things we love, comics, movies, television, video games, anime, what have you. But yeah, I agree. It's like Gen Z, and I would even say Alpha, which we'll get to here in the coming years as they sort of, their form of culture sort of comes to the forefront. Whatever they love is a personality trait. And that's dangerous, right? Because that will, not only can it destroy you when that thing is either no longer popular or becomes toxic or whatever, then, but you're also, you're zoning in on one or two things you really love. I have that problem sometimes myself, really into comics, really into movies. And I feel like I need to broaden my horizons sometimes. And I purposefully do that. But I don't know if the younger generation has that self-awareness yet.
Maybe not, because I mean, and I think that's the interesting thing is because there have always been people in society and in like certain cultures that like do that. You know, there have been people who have dedicated their entire existence to like one thing. And then like, to be honest, like I can kind of compare it to, you know, like the Beatles. You know, when the Beatles broke up, there were fans who were so in love with the idea of what the Beatles were as an idea, as a thing, and so like when they broke up, there were people that killed themselves, and there's still people that do that. There's still people that are like, so like, when stuff is like, when games are over, when they're deleted, when they're like, you know, I can't get Flappy Bird on my phone anymore, you know, like there's people that are like so purely defined by that one idea, by that one characteristic. And it's kind of, you're right, it is scary because it does take some self-awareness to realize, you know what, like I am more than just my dedication to whatever this fandom, whatever this thing is. I can be more than that and still be my own person while still being a fan.
Sure. Now, if I can slightly Euro step us out of this conversation, because it's funny, we're talking about all of this while also recognizing that this is episode 150 of The Grid. So we have officially put out at least 150 episodes of The Grid. That's not including
just
bonus things we've done.
Yeah.
But also we've put out 180 episodes of the normal show. So while Aaron and I recognize that like putting your entire personality into your hobbies is not healthy, here we are with 300 plus episodes of a podcast where we do almost essentially that. Now you could make an argument that this is like our space to do that, but I would be the first to admit, Aaron could definitely admit this, that it has definitely bled into our real lives. I am often berating Aaron to like do things for the podcast in his off time. He's like, I'm trying to watch Law and Order SVU and you're bothering me on a Wednesday night. What do you want me to do? And I'm like, listen, we have an episode in 6 weeks with Scott Snyder. We need to start getting ready for it.
I need you to read everything by Scott Snyder.
What have you read? Nothing? Everything? Do it again.
Everything. I want you to take notes. I want you to show your work.
Yeah. And turn it into me. I need it right now.
I need it 3 weeks before the interview, just so I know you're actually doing it.
That's right. All right. Well, let's get into, again, I'm Euro stepping here into our next topic, which
what is a Euro step? You're throwing me off with this. Is this a new thing that you've learned?
No, it is. It is something I heard on another show called The Press Box, but it made sense to me because this is a super niche saying, but in basketball, a Euro step is a move that you do with the basketball where you don't dribble, but you still move with the ball. You get up to 3 steps in basketball. And a Euro step is where you jump and it counts as a step. So you can like jump 6 feet up court and that only counts as 1 move. So that's a Euro step.
Oh, 2 hands this time.
Yeah, exactly. 1 hop this time.
Everybody clap your hands. Whatever.
Episode 150. Of course, as we said at the beginning of this episode, is out to the public. So everyone listening right now, this is what you get. Essentially 10 minutes of, I haven't seen my best friend in 2 weeks. Let's just throw up whatever was on the front of our brain as soon as we turn the cameras on. That's the grid essentially generally, right? And then we often will have smaller topics that either, again, is just floating around in our heads or we sort of pre-pick before the show.
Like this. Chris, did you notice that I've gotten new glasses?
Ooh, you do. I didn't notice that, but they look good.
Thank you.
Where are they from?
Lens Crafters. I've never bought glasses before like this. So this was the first time. And it was, I'll be honest, I slightly embarrassed myself the first time I was in there because I was like, I'm not paying this much for glasses. I was super cheap.
Everyone, you guys don't understand how frugal Aaron is on like, he will spend $200 on a CGC comic and then not spend, $25 on something that he needs. He's pulling something out from behind the camera here. What do you got there?
I don't know. Did I showed you that I got Exorians?
Yep.
So signed by Frank Thierry, Scott Snyder. But a good friend of the show, Skeff, over on Whatnot, sent me and sold me this.
So Aaron's showing off the Arcbound. This is the Ashcan issue 0 foil edition. Who's it signed by? Is it Scott Snyder, I'm assuming, right?
Just Scott Snyder. It's the New York Comic-Con exclusive metal cover.
Very cool. Are you at liberty to tell the folks and myself how much you spent, or do you wish to keep that private?
$200. He gave me a really good deal on it.
Oh boy. Okay, so there you go. Perfect example. Aaron does not want to buy new glasses, but he will spend. Go ahead.
But I did it.
But you did it.
So I bought them.
And I'm proud of you for it.
So thank you.
Well, the first sort of predetermined topic I wanted to talk about.
That was an undetermined. This is a predetermined.
Predetermined. That was undetermined. Predetermined. We're gonna go back and forth. Undetermined, predetermined. We'll leave the undetermined up to Aaron, and I'll do the predetermined because let's just admit, everybody, that is our role here on this show. So
what? I predetermine things. It's not fair.
I've been known to predetermine. How dare you?
I predetermine all over the time. All the time. All over the place.
We have to give out a nickname, Aaron. And this one's pretty special. She's been on the Patreon now for 6 months, and it is my wonderful, beautiful girlfriend, Olivia. So shout out to my partner, Olivia, for supporting us here on the podcast. She is often listening to us here on the grid. Aaron just turned off his camera for some reason. I don't know why. Did you do that for a reason?
Yeah, I was being facetious.
Oh, he's being a sea fish. Okay, got it. So Olivia, there's a lot of things I could say about her. She's, one of the most empathetic, wonderful people that I've ever met. Part of the reason why I was so quick to pull the trigger on us now dating for almost a year, which is kind of crazy to think about. And it just, and she joined the Patreon unprompted. I didn't ask her to do this. She just sort of wanted to support my nerdy ventures, and it helps the show. So we have to give her a nickname. She's been, again, everybody, just so you're aware, at the highest tier here on Patreon, the $10 tier, you get a Patreon nickname, you get a t-shirt, and you get to pick an episode of the grid. I'll ask her if she wants to pick a topic at some point, but we do give her a nickname. Now, Aaron, I will give out the nicknames here. Actually, I'll tell you what, why don't you give out the nicknames? How about that? So, because since I've been talking a lot here, I'll send those here to you on Discord. You should probably have them anyway, honestly.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. So Aaron, go ahead and list off our previous Patreon nicknames.
All right. So we got Travis, which Travis, answer my message in Patreon. Man, come on now. The official Dr. Indiana Jones, the official Dr. Jones of the show. Christy, which is Chris's madre, the official Mama Bear of the show. Kyle, the official Gipper. Do it for the Gipper. Of the show. Robert, the official nuke dealer of the show. What's that?
It's one of my favorites. I don't have a sound. What?
It's from RoboCop, man. Come on.
Yeah,
now.
yeah, I know. I think it's one of the best nicknames we've given out thus far.
Yes,
though, for
yes.
sure.
George, the official wedding singer of the show. That's my good friend George Brooks, or Gurge Brooms, as he calls himself. Losi, the official selfless Swiftie of the show. David, the official ISO of the show, because he is not a program. He is an
Not
ISO.
a program. So when you guys hear us say the programs and David, it's because there was one time he sent us a message on Patreon and said, "What is a program? Do I have to be a program?" And we're like, "Of course not. You support the show. We'll name whatever you want."
Yeah.
And if you're familiar with Tron, the ISOs are that organic group of people that sort of just pop up in the grid. So
Like daisies. The Alice, the official battling Brit of the show.
aha.
That's Nerf Alice, one of our good friends who we've worked with several times over at CSA. Miles, the official Iron Hokage of the show. Which, speaking of Hokage, I watched an episode of Shogun.
Like it?
I wasn't really into it.
Ooh, I have the whole season downloaded, ready to watch. I'm kind of interested to hear that.
Let me know.
It's been killing in the wards.
It has.
Yeah.
I got one thing we need to talk about. Try and remind me of that.
Is it about the Oscars?
I think so.
Okay,
I think I'm not sure.
It's on my predetermined.
Okay.
Don't undetermine it. I already have it predetermined.
Fine. Yes. Actually, I see it there. Okay. Don't undetermine the predetermined.
Yes.
Mac, the official Kakapo of the show.
Little weasel thing they have there in Australia or New Zealand.
A little down under.
Yeah. That's Australia, Aaron. He's in New Zealand.
What
they're Kiwis. I don't know.
I know Mac. What is it? What are the Australians are down under. What are the New Zealanders?
They're up under because they're above
even
Australia.
farther under. Ham 6
above under.
Over under. The official red leader of the show, Ham 6. Kenny, the official phantom freak of the show, and then Chris of the Bada Boom Pod. He's the official Geiger of the show.
Okay. So Olivia, I have a suggestion, Aaron, and you can challenge me or offer suggestions here.
The official Yoko Ono.
God, I hope not. She's going to take over this podcast, and then I'm going to die somehow, and then she's going to take over my estate.
No, she's going to take over my side. You already got her on the fucking on the feed.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm going to let her come in between us, and like she'll be scream yelling into the mic as I'm trying to talk about like Zack Snyder. Yeah. Anyway. So she calls my dog. Everyone knows my dog. His name is Toby. She calls him Thorby. I don't remember why. There's a reason. So I want to Thorby. Yeah.
You should call her right now and ask her why.
She's working right now.
Call her. She won't answer. What does she do?
No, well, I don't want to bother her while she's working. She's got a busy day.
Oh.
But I'm going to recommend the official Thorby of the grid. Give it better.
But she's not the Thorby.
Yeah, but Thorby it's a mantle. It's like Usher and Prince. Like it's a symbol. That doesn't make sense. Go with it.
Mantle is like Black Panther.
Ah, okay, there
Batman.
you go. Yeah, it's like Kite Man or the Condiment King.
Or the Bombastic Bagman.
Bombastic Bagman. Great pull, Aaron. Good job.
Thank you. I'm gonna go with the. Okay, so you got the Thorby, the official Thorby. I'm gonna go with.
She also loves the Deftones, if that helps you at all. She's really into plants. Could be the official Green Thumb.
Ooh, I was gonna say the official Poison Ivy.
It's a little too on the nose.
On the nose. Okay.
I like where your head's at, but yeah. So like Swamp Thing in the comics, he's known as the Green.
But then that's careful with that one because I am the Green. Ooh, I do like that. She could be the official Rio.
The what?
The official Rio. Rio was the Green in Agatha All Along. So that was Audrey Plaza's character, which your girlfriend kind of looks like Audrey Plaza. She's got the dark hair, so she could be the official Rio.
She's actually heard a lot. I hope I'm not like bragging in her place, but she has heard a lot. Katy Perry is the one that she gets a lot.
I could see that. See that.
Although she's a lot shorter than Katy Perry. So, okay. So Thorby, Rio. I kind of like the Green Thumby. I don't know why that popped in my head, but that's kind of funny.
Gumby.
Gumby is cute. I like
the
that.
official Gumby because he's green.
Yep.
and he's also a friend to everybody.
And he always does the right thing.
He always does the right thing. Does she like to skate at all?
I don't know specifically if she likes to skate, but she strikes me as someone who would.
So same here. Okay, I'm going with the official Gumby.
I like it. The official Gumby. She's going to hate that, but whatever. Official Gumby. Olivia, you're the official Gumby of the podcast.
She's probably too young for Gumby.
No, I think, I remember it. We're around the same age. She's only 2 years younger than I am. So, yeah. All right. Official Gumby. You're welcome, babe. All right. Moving on.
Also, sorry about the Yoko comment.
That's all right. She probably doesn't get that reference, actually.
I wasn't apologizing to you. I was apologizing to her.
I'm accepting your apology on her behalf.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. Last night, I caught up with Jason Aaron's entire TMNT run. Have you read anything past issue 1?
No.
It's really good, Aaron. I know for everyone that's listening right now, if you don't know this, I'm sure you do if you listen to the Oblivion Bar. Aaron is the much bigger TMNT fan than I am. I do like them. I liked them a lot when I was a kid. I watched the animated series. I watched the live action movies and all that stuff. But when when it was announced that Jason was going to take over TMNT over IDW, he came onto the show and talked about it a little bit with us. Go listen to the episode if you haven't already. And not that I wasn't interested in his series, but I was sort of waiting for a couple of issues to build up so I could sort of do exactly what I did last night, which was purge every single issue. And I read up to issue 7. Now, luckily for us, we have some folks on the inside. Shout out to Greg Katzman over IDW. I've read up to issue 7, which doesn't even come out until February 26th. Issue 6 comes out next week, next Wednesday on the 24th. 28th of next month. Next week. Gosh.
Get it together, man.
I'm telling you. Predetermined, undetermined. Yeah, it's really good. Like, I honestly believe, and this is coming from someone who's only read like the first 15 issues of the first run, some issues here and there. I've read some, side stories and all that good stuff. I love it. You really like grow an attachment to each brother in those first 4 issues, because if people don't know already, the first 4 issues of TMNT all focus on each brother. You got Ralph, then you have, I want to say it's Mikey, then Leo, and then Donnie, I think is last. Yeah. And they're all in wildly different places. And sort of the setup of the series is that something has happened to them to separate them. Mm-hmm. And then something that's happening in New York, I don't want to spoil anything, but something happening in New York sort of begrudgingly brings them back together. So I don't want to spoil it for you, Aaron. Excuse me. Just give it a look. Right now is the time. Issue 7 is the second issue in the new arc. So
I have been a little distracted with my comics because I've been like catching up on all the stuff that I've been like extremely behind on. Plus, getting ready. You and I are getting ready to go onto Comics and Chronics with a good friend of mine, Mr. Tony Nacho. With a good friend of ours, Mr. Tony Nacho. Yep. And so I did my reread through of Wonder Woman Dead Earth, which goddamn, like that book it does not, like it is always good every time you read through it.
I think that's the book that got you into DWJ, right?
Yes.
Is that the one?
Yeah.
I thought it was. I wasn't sure.
And then I've also been reading through Blasphemous. I finished up what was it? Spectrograph. I finished up. Like I've been hitting everything that I've kind of been falling behind on. I read this really interesting one shot from Marvel it was just called Fury, and it's about the 3 iterations, because there's 3 iterations technically of Nick Fury, which
confusing shit ever.
It is confusing, and how our current MCU Nick Fury, which is Samuel L. Jackson, is actually the son of the previous Nick Fury somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And
even though he's an Italian white dude.
I'm just gonna. And
the second one is Samuel Jackson, essentially.
Yeah. So I've just been catching up on just as much as I can recently, along with reading some other stuff. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so now I understand why it's so much nicer to get like trade paperbacks, because once you kind of just let something get to a place, you don't have to like search for, because you forget like which issues you have, and then you got to go back and find back issues. Yep. Where if you just buy the trade paperback, then it's a weird dichotomy right there.
Can I put three comic? I'm going to put three comics on your radar and also the listeners' radar as well.
Do it.
If I may.
Do it now.
So the first one is Hell Hunters. This is a series from Philip Kennedy Johnson and Adam Gorman. I think this is a miniseries, but it's basically about this World War II team of Marvel heroes that were around at that time. So you have this brand new Ghost Rider. They're calling him right now Ghost Rider 44. You've got Nick Fury, Wolverine, Bucky, and I want to say it's Black Widow as well. And I think you would love it. Obviously, written by good friend of the show, Philip Kennedy Johnson. I think I may have texted you this the other day, Aaron, but everyone listen. This is fucking insane, everybody. Listen to this. Our very first interview ever, episode 25. We have Philip Kennedy Johnson on the show. Great guy, great conversation. We actually just released a remastered version from the vault on our feed if you're curious to listen to that. And in that conversation, I was re-listening to it. And in that, he just offhandedly somewhere, I don't know where, and again, this came out in, I think it was April of 2020. Or no, I think it was like summer of 2020.
Yeah.
Early on in the show, he mentions that he wants to write, he has this really interesting story about this brand new Ghost Rider in World War II. So he accidentally either predicted or started advertising this book to us way in advance for Hell Hunters #1.
Yeah.
And I read it just kind of offhandedly the day because I like Philip Kennedy Johnson. I like the characters. And it's great. And I think you would really love it, Aaron.
Can I share a couple that I've read most
Hold on,
recently?
I got two more here.
Okay, sorry.
The other two are just ones that I've already told you about. Sentinels, I've been telling you, you need to check out. That's, again, X-Men book, Marvel. And then the other one, what was the other one I had here? Now I'm spacing it. I am reading Bone. Aaron, I don't know if you're familiar with Bone at all.
The old school comic, with the little white dude.
Mm-hmm.
Looks
By
like
Jeff Smith.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I used to read Bone all the time when he was in the Sunday comics.
Yep. It's awesome. It's timelessly endearing. I'll say that. So give that one a look if you haven't, if you're just looking for like a casual fun read, definitely give that one a look.
It's like going back and rereading like, what was that? The Far Side or like Calvin and Hobbes.
Oh yeah. Yep. A lot of the old Peanut stuff. What'd you have?
Oh, so like I wanted just to throw out, things that have kind of come out recently that I've been reading. Like obviously this is a one shot, but they're doing like a whole series of them. Like this one is,
I've been reading this too.
What if Galactus transformed Hulk?
Yep.
And again, more of a one shot because they're doing Moon Knight, they're doing Gambit, they're doing a whole spread of these. And this one, obviously, I love the Hulk, so I thought this was really interesting. Interesting story, very interesting take, a similar kind of parallel to another story of the Hulks. So it doesn't feel like super original, but it's definitely a fun read.
Yeah.
For a one shot. So how did you feel about
kind of
that
a silly title? Like every week that I see, because they come out weekly, they've come out every week since that first Hulk one. There was, I'm gonna try to name this off the top of my head. Hulk, Moon Knight, Gambit, Rogue, and there's one other one that I'm spacing right now. Gosh, I'll look it up here in a moment. But anyway, they are super silly and sort of, I mean this respectfully, sort of throwaway because they are what ifs. But I have a weird feeling they're like loosely tying them together in some way, and they're all gonna all these heralds are all gonna come together at some point and go up against Galactus because they end up. I think almost all of them end up losing at the end of each issue.
Yeah, you lose.
The
next one is obviously a good friend of ours.
Yep,
Christian Ward is doing his Two-Face run, and I'm loving this one. This is the part of the DC All-In Two-Face and him just having that. Who's in charge.
Right.
Who's in charge? Is it going to be, who's going to win out when it comes to taking control of the Harvey Dent Two-Face body? And it's just, I don't know. I fucking love Christian, man. I fucking love what he does. Like, he's so good.
He is really good. If I could say really quickly about Two-Face too. What I love about that series, and I've told Christian this, is, and I was happy to learn that this is sort of like a through line that he's trying to show, is how much Harvey cares about justice. Because in each of these issues, one with, who's the guy with the ticks on his arm? What's his name?
Oh, Victor Zsasz.
Zsasz, thank you. Zaz, and then the second one with the Ace and whatever the couple.
Yeah, the it's like the Royal Flush gang.
Yep. Each of those issues end in some kind of like pizzazz breakup of the trial, and each time Harvey is pissed off because he is not able to provide actual justice.
Yeah,
and I love that in this scenario, there's a good man in there somewhere. People forget that like Two-Face is not all bad. He has a good side and a bad side. And I think that's interesting. It's a cool dichotomy, again, as you said, how is one side starting to win? Like if justice keeps not happening, if he keeps trying to like do the right thing and like that good thing is not happening, like he keeps failing at that, will the bad side eventually come through and try to provide justice in his way, which is often killing people. So
absolutely. And then the last one before we move back into our predetermined topics.
Predetermined.
I wanted to talk about is Cable,
oh, nice.
Love and Thunder, which I finally got my hands on this Mark Brooks cover because, good friend, Mark Brooks. And you're right. You talked about, you read the first issue a few weeks back because this is a David Pepose title that he's writing. And you said, Aaron, I think you're going to like this because it feels very Mad Max. And you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So I'm loving the series already. It's got a very interesting approach to the technovirus that Cable has, and he's finally amongst other people who have the same, who are afflicted by the same thing, as well as kind of this different world, but also a very like familiar world to him. So I'm excited to see where this story goes, and I highly recommend anybody who's a fan of Cable and kind of his rogue adventures to check this one out, because this is very much a rogue adventure of Cable on his own and still fighting for the things that he believes in. But he's also, it's nice to see this almost sense of belonging that's kind of like coming out of him. Like he's exuding almost because he's such a downtrodden character, because he's had a rough fucking life, and so it's kind of nice to see him actually have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Throughout
the camaraderie, some fellowship.
Some camaraderie. Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
We'll talk about David here in just a moment, but yeah, I agree. I think that first issue is pretty strong. I'm excited to see what he does with this. Cable is a very interesting character. He is he's one of the rare characters. There's like 10 of them that can just sell a comic based on a cover. Like I think people will buy Chrome and Love and Chrome just based on the title, the character, and the covers. But when the comic inside is good, that really means a lot. And something that I really respect about David, and I find really interesting, is that David is just kind of at the point in his career right now. He is sort of a company man. And I mean that respectfully in the sense that he is just willing to write Marvel. We'll talk about what else he's doing. Like he just likes to play in other sandboxes right now. But every time that he does, he likes to provide something new. He wants to look at that character in another light. Space Ghost is a good example of that. Moon Knight was a good example of that. And then again, we'll talk about what else he's doing here in a moment.
But he may be and I agree, but I also disagree, because he may be a company man, but he also is taking these huge swings, which is what comics is all about. And he's taking these characters that have not had real like ongoing stories or, episodic like adventures that are like, again, chronologically like placed along the timeline, and he's like killing it, whether it's like Speed Racer, whether it's again Space Ghost, whether it's we're going to talk about soon, but he is doing so well, and I'm so proud. I sent him a message the other day, like I'm like just fucking proud of you, dude.
Yeah, it's nice to see these creators that you sort of see from the beginning. Yeah. It's kind of cool, even though we don't know David outside of just comic sketch art and having him on the show. But I was the one who brought him over to meet Mike and Doug at San Diego 2 years ago. He was sort of aimlessly looking around, and Lisette saw him from across the way and was like, "Hey, can you go get him and bring him over here?" And as I was talking to him, I realized who he was. It was like David. And I can't remember exactly what he had written at that time. He had written something that I recognized him from. I was like, "Oh, hey, David, how are you?" Like, blah, blah, blah. You're going to like CSA, all the things. And we've just seen his stock rise ever since then. Let's move on really quickly here. I'm going to do another Euro step. We're about 3 weeks from Captain America: Brave New World, and we've seen a bunch of trailers. I think we've probably seen all the trailers that we're going to. There's rumors that we could get a Fantastic Four trailer during the Super Bowl, and that will be attached to Captain America: Brave New World. Fingers crossed on that. I just want to gauge your excitement, Aaron. 10 being Endgame, 1 being Secret Invasion. Where are you at in terms of excitement for Brave New World?
I'm at a Civil War excitement.
What number is that?
Maybe
Like
Winter
a 7?
Soldier.
Not 8?
Maybe Winter Soldier.
Okay. See, Winter Soldier for me is a top 5 Marvel movie, so that'd be
Yeah.
like a 9 for me.
Yeah. I'm at like an 8, a 7 or an 8.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'd say like a 7. It's like Black Panther, Iron Man level for me.
Yes.
You know, like I'm pretty excited. I'm relatively optimistic about how it's going to turn out. It looks good. I was thinking about this. You guys don't hear what I'm not saying here, okay? And Aaron, don't judge me for this. But I was in the shower and I was listening to something about Marvel. And I remember thinking, like, you know, we've talked about this here on the show, is like one of the main issues with this new cast, sort of this new era of Marvel heroes, is that we just don't feel for them the same way we did with Steve, with Tony, and with, you know, Clint, and all these characters, Natasha, these characters that are now gone. Not that Clint's still around, I guess, but point being is that the original cast, like, we had such an attachment to them, and that's why Endgame meant so much to us. But I'm thinking about it, I'm like, is there a character in today's Marvel that I care about just as much? And Thor was like the first thing that came to mind. Obviously, Thor is from that original cast, so of course I care about him just as much. But then I thought about Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson. And I'm like, I've seen him go from On Your Left to Captain America. And that means I like, this seems silly to talk about this in this, like, with this much gravity, but I care about him as much as any character right now. So I really, really hope this movie is good, because when we eventually get to Secret Wars and Doomsday and all that stuff, a lot of shit's going to be happening, right? And I'm really hoping that they do him well. If there's one character right now that I want them to do well, it's him and Spider-Man. Those two characters need to be done well going forward.
So for me, I absolutely agree where you're coming from with Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson as Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's one thing that I really loved about, you know, Captain America and the Winter Soldier, the show, is seeing that struggle, especially from, you know, being a person of color, seeing that struggle and how they brought in. And that's the thing. I've been reading a lot of the, you know, Captain America, you know, with Sam Wilson as Captain America, and they I'm kind of two minds. Part of it is it continues to slightly bother me a little bit, but I understand the importance of constantly bringing in that racial aspect of him being a Black Captain America, and also like how he was treated and how his family was treated and how Black people in his like circle and in his community were treated because of the color of their skin, because of where they come from, where they live, whether, you know, the fact that it took his, I think, uncle like years to get a business loan to save the farm, things like that. So that's something that's kind of like I'm kind of like on both sides of the fence for, because it kind of like sucks that it's constantly being brought up just because he's a Black Captain America. But at the same time, I am super excited as somebody who wants to see the representation of him and his struggle and the struggle of all Black people becoming this, you know, representation of the American like hero. So I'm excited about that. I'm also, again, it's weird because I love the idea of Isaiah Bradley coming back, and I'm a little bit nervous because they're gonna, obviously we see him attack the president in this, so it's like, what's the background on that? So like I'm nervous
He's
about
got some
several
Winter Soldier
things.
wiring going on there.
Exactly. So I'm nervous about some of these things, but I'm also excited to see where it goes, and
Yeah.
it's on so many levels, you know. So yeah, I'm excited, but it's Captain America, it's you know, it's Civil War, it's Black Panther levels excitement, but also there's that aspect of nervousness for the racial inequality aspect of the story that is absolutely going to happen.
Yeah. I'm coming at this as like, again, as a white dude from the Midwest. Excuse me. And it's basically that Denzel Washington once said this in an interview. He's like, someone asked him, like, if it was Ryan Coogler or someone, if they weren't directing this, would you still want to star in it? And he's like, or if this wasn't directed by a black man, would you still want to star in this movie? And he's like, it's not because he's black. It's a cultural thing. It's not race. It's culture. Right. And I think when you're talking about Sam, you kind of have to bring up sort of the sort of the downfall of, or not downfall, I guess sort of the struggles of being a young black man in America, even today. I guess, and I get what you're saying. I'm not sick of it, but I get it. And the reason, and here's why Steve is like a little bit more broad. I'm dancing around this, but Steve's struggle is that he was the little man that made it, right? He's the little guy. I can do this all day. That appeals to a broader audience. Anyone can agree that like, it's just a man who wants to do the right thing. Right. Whereas Sam,
I don't like bullies.
I don't like bullies. Yeah. Sam's sort of central idea is that a black man can be Captain America. I'm wondering if like, what's his pillar outside of that? Right. Like what is his, like, what I think he should be Captain America. I think the character has put in the time, both in the movies and in the comics, to become Captain America. Sam Wilson is the second oldest black character in Marvel history behind Black Panther. So like, I'm just curious, like, what is that thing that Sam has as like that ever pervasive trait that makes him Captain America?
I think it's the fact that he's willing to step into the shoes of a literal superhero without the superpowers. Whereas you have a lot of superheroes who are defined by their powers. You have a lot of superheroes who are defined by their mission as being, extraterrestrial, or come into Earth to fight, or Asgardian, or again, given a super serum. Whereas you have this guy who is, just because of his sheer dedication to the belief of what, the America, what freedom is, what America is, he as a human being, modified, non-enhanced human, is willing to step into the shoes of a superhero to defend justice and to defend the American way. And not only that, but also step up to the plate for a country that, since its inception, has really been against the progression of the black community and other considered racially, unequal, persons.
Yeah.
So,
okay. We're going to try to move on from this. A couple things. I know, and we've gone long. Obviously, Aaron, I know you got some things to do this afternoon, so I just want to quickly ask you, Oscar noms got announced yesterday. Tell me, you wanted to bring it up, so I don't know if there's something that you want to bring up specifically, but I would love for you to tell me what's one award that you want to, like, is there one candidate that you want to win an award? And is there one candidate that didn't get nominated that you wish would have? And I can start us off if you want to think about it, because I have my answers. I obviously asked the answer, so I already know my answer.
The only thing that I'm a little bit frustrated with is the fact that Amelia Perez is being, so heavily nominated.
Yeah.
And that's it, because, and again, Carly and I have actually talked about this quite a bit recently, is that the fact that Amelia Perez is not a bad, it's not a bad concept. The music is fucking terrible.
It's also the movie is not good, in my opinion.
Yeah. Like, if this were just a movie, then it would be an interesting concept. But the fact that it's a musical movie about this is like, for some reason, I don't get it. And so for me, like, that's really the only thing that I'm having a hard time, reconciling.
Sure. Okay. I think for Best Picture, I'm going to just go with the lowest of the lowest hanging fruit. The best pictures were Anora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Amelia Perez, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, The Substance, and Wicked. Wow. Okay, I will say that, Aaron, we both loved Wicked on here. There's no way in hell that Wicked should be here instead of Sing Sing. Sing Sing should have been there. I would even have put A Real Pain there instead of Wicked. Again, I get it. They want to get their big stars at the awards. It's such an annoying thing about these award ceremonies, but Sing Sing and A Real Pain, in my opinion, are both far more superior movies to Wicked.
Yeah,
albeit Wicked is a great movie.
To me personally, I would take off Anora.
Yeah, and also you said Amelia Perez. Same with
I'll
us.
take off Amelia Perez because and yeah, I just started watching Sing Sing. And I already think it's starting off phenomenally. Haven't gotten too far into it. Had to stop watching it because I had other stuff to do.
Yep.
But A Complete Unknown. Have you watched that yet?
I have not yet. No, I want to.
Oh fuck! I'm
Is it good?
excited. We should talk about that. Yes.
Okay.
Let me know when you watch it. I can't.
I'm not a huge Bob Dylan fan. Is that okay? Like, is that
That's absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. It is. I know very little other than the music that he's done. I did some personal research once I finished the movie. Actually, some of it while I was watching the movie because we watched it at home. But yeah, definitely. That is fucking Timothy Chalamet, man. Damn.
Timmy's the man. Timmy is the man. Him and Austin Butler, I think, are like.
But I will disagree with you.
What?
On Wicked belonging here.
I would be okay with Wicked being there if one of those other two were in this as well.
Yes.
So we could take Amelia Perez out of there. If it were up to me, those two would be the two that I would probably get rid of, even though I have not seen A Complete Unknown. But the praises have been so loud that I sort of get why. The last thing I'll say is the two things that I wish would have happened. Dune Part 2 was not nominated for costume design. That's a goddamn travesty. I don't know why. I mean, Gladiator Part 2 looked good, but it's not better than Dune Part 2. I'll tell you that.
Didn't even have the fucking helmet.
Didn't even have the helmet. What are we doing here? It's on the popcorn, whatever. And then musical score. I think this is being shouted from the mountaintops from everybody. It seems obvious, but Challengers, for some reason, was not nominated for Best Original Score. If you've listened to that album from the guys over there at Nine Inch Nails, you know that this was one of, if not the best score of 2024. So those are kind of my complaints. Every year there's a complaint or two about this stuff, but that's how it goes. So, Aaron, real quick before we get out of here, David Pepose is writing Captain Planet. How excited are you?
Oh man, I've already been all over social media about this. I've been, and so is David. If you look at David's socials, that's one thing I love about David. He is such a fan of these like IPs that he goes and like literally just like, I want to know what his schedule looks like. If he's got like time blocked off, because he's just like going to like other people's like all over social media, and he's just hyping up his series. And
he's got like a keyword search every time.
Yeah, I'm so fucking pumped for it because you got Zaddy, Captain Planet.
Yeah. And you also got Christian Ward doing a cover for that series too.
Exactly, Christian Ward, man, he's killing it.
Sorry, one more thing here. I just want to ask you, Julia Gardner is apparently, she's done a lot of motion capture for Fantastic Four, First Steps. I'm still standing by the Shala Ball of it all. I don't think she's Norrin Rad. So that'll be the last thing I have. Everybody, if you liked what you saw or what you heard here on the grid, again, this is available every week on Monday to all the Patreon members, $2 tier and up. You get this every single week. And this is the kind of tomfoolery that you'll be paying for. So, Aaron, do you have anything you want to say to the programs and David before we get out of here?
Yeah, no, thanks everybody for being here. Thank you if you're on the normal feed. Thanks for checking out the Patreon. Again, yeah, this is it's funny because we talk about how the show is only the Patreon, the grid is only supposed to be like 30 minutes. But it doesn't matter. We always go over because we just get caught up.
Yep.
We have so much fun doing this. So, feel free to check us out over on patreon.com/the Oblivion Bar Pod. And we'd love to have you over as a program, or if you don't want to be a program, you can be an ISO just like David. So
that's right.
Thanks again to the official Gumby for being a Patreon member. So that's all I got to say. Thanks for hanging out.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it. We will see you next week, episode 151, Behind the Paywall. We'll see you over there. Bye.